Roll call.
Mr. Carlo?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Condit?
Here.
Mr. Molina,
Here.
Mr. Silverston?
Here.
Mr. Welter?
Here.
Approval of meeting minutes for January 13th, 2015.
So moved. Second.
Roll call on approval of minutes.
Mr. Welter?
Yes.
Mr. Carlo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Amendments to the agenda.
I have one, please. I would like an executive session to discuss personnel issues after the legislative portion of this particular committee of the whole meeting.
Second. Roll call.
Mr. Carlo?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Condit?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Mr. Welter?
Yes.
From the committee reports, Mayor.
No report, actually.
Mr. Carpenter.
I don't really have anything to report, but I do want to say that I have prepared legislation for the handbook changes that we discussed this past weekend for the fire department, police department, employees, and to accept the handbook legislation. Probably next council meeting, and all of that. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Russ.
Yes, real quick, you have Resolution 10/2015, that is for awarding the Fountain Trail, Reminderville Trail, and water line replacement project. If you do that legislation, it includes also the replacement of the road. We're going to award the whole thing, meet with the residents, see if they want to pay their portion, to take that, and convert it from a private to public roadway into full replacement. If they so choose not to, then we will only be doing the water line repair, the patching of the roadway.
So with regard to Windjammer.
Windjammer, yes, sir. So, we've awarded the whole thing one time, and if there is no road pavement, then we will just build the water line. The highlight of, I think you have the crossing street dedication, we're waiting for a response from the homeowners association. Liberty Ledges, they met with us, there's a preliminary that they'll be submitting for the extension of Liberty Ledges. We're also talking about taking over some of the old lake bottom, and preserve that as green space. We met today with some Metro Parks to extend the walking trails from Liberty Park into Reminderville, and working to see if we can work with them to do that, and then go for some grants so we can attach Reminderville right into their trail system. 7A, water line was approved, they'll be constructing that. Senior housing should start in February. And that is the main highlights tonight.
And a copy of the crossings engineering study was in box. I'm sure everybody has a chance to look at that, along with Terry and Jean's report. Thanks, Jean. Rec Center?
No report.
Deborah.
I have nothing to report, but would just be glad to answer any questions about ordinance 3, if council has any. And I would request that that's passed by emergency. There are a couple individuals waiting to be paid until those appropriations are changed.
That's it?
That's it.
That's only first reading tonight, we're not doing emergency, right?
You
No,
can
we
put it
are.
by
We
emergency.
are going to do it.
Thanks, Deborah. Chief Buck?
No report.
Chief Plunkett?
No report.
Architectural Board of Review?
The ABR met last night, we had one thing on the agenda, it was a dock, and we had a nice discussion about the lakes of Ohio. That is all.
Was the dock in Reminderville?
Yeah, it's in a short.
Just checking.
Planning and zoning?
Well, real quick, something that came up, and maybe you all know, because no one on ABR is in the shores, but we were told or had heard some rumblings of potentially sheds being allowed now in the shores. You guys,
Unattached,
unattached,
unattached sheds.
No, there's no.
They didn't get enough
sheds allowed
votes.
in-
they did not,
in the
the
shores.
gentleman who thought they may have, so,
No.
just curious.
Wishful thinking.
Planning and zoning, no report. Board of Zoning Appeals, no report. Finance,
Finance, but today at 6:30, we recommend payments in the amount of $341,081.35, of which roughly 178,000 of that was Twinsburg Township's payment for the JIT. Next meeting is, I don't know, is it 2 weeks? 2 weeks? We're not a 3-week one here.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 6:30.
Thanks, Tom. Cable,
No report.
communications,
Communications met, our meeting in January got pushed back, we just met on January 19th, discussed some of our goals for 2015, more use of the app, website, so on and so forth, but our next meeting is actually next week, Monday the 2nd at 7 o'clock. Here at the Village Hall.
When's the website up and going?
Sorry, I was just waiting to get
Yeah,
that.
he just has to transfer everything over, it's ready to go.
Okay.
So I think he's gonna do all the transfers.
After they
this
load
week.
the pictures up there. we'll just-
Right,
Well,
can't launch without that.
thanks, Mark. Long-term community development and report, Parks and Rec,
The Parks and Rec met last Wednesday. Basically, we went over last year's events, what we did well and what could use some improvement. And we plan to have the same events this year. That'll do it.
thank you. Records,
No report.
seniors,
Seniors have breakfast tomorrow at Fresh Start in Twinsburg. And our next lunch is Tuesday, February 10th at Mavis Winkles.
thank you. And Jed,
Jed's next meeting is the first Tuesday of June.
March.
Oh, geez, March. Yikes, I'm really trying to push it summer. I told you, I don't like it. First Tuesday in March, 7 o'clock, I'm not sure where it's at. I'll find out before March.
I think it's in, I think it's here.
I think it's here too.
Basically, don't listen to anything you just said.
Yeah, I have no report.
That would've been a lot easier.
We're going to legislation, ordinance 03/2015.
Choking.
I'm choking, can't lose my.
An emergency ordinance to make appropriation adjustments for the 2015 village budget, first reading. Ordinance 4/2015, an ordinance to amend section 149.02 of the codified ordinances of the village of Reminderville entitled Holidays and declaring an emergency, first reading. Ordinance 5/2015, an ordinance to amend section 141.16 of the codified ordinances of the village of Reminderville entitled Holiday Pay and declaring an emergency, first reading. Ordinance 6/2015, an ordinance to amend section 139.14 of the codified ordinances of the village of Reminderville entitled Legal Holidays and declaring an emergency, first reading. Ordinance 7/2015, an ordinance to amend section 149.09 of the codified ordinances of the village of Reminderville entitled Human Resources, Insurance Committees, Personnel Policy Manual, and declaring an emergency, first reading. Resolution 8/2015, a resolution authorizing a $250 donation to the Rotary Club of Twinsburg, first reading. Resolution 9/2015, a resolution authorizing a $100 donation to the Twinsburg Local Music Boosters, first reading. Resolution 10/2015, a resolution to accept the recommendation of the village engineer to award the Regatta Trail, Windjammer Trail, and Windjammer Cove waterline replacement project in an amount not to exceed $1,886,208.16 to Trimore Corporation, first reading.
Move to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Roll call on adjournment.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Cottee?
Yes.
Mr. Molina.
Yes.
Mr. Silverston?
Yes.
Mr. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes.
Lexi competes down there in 2 weeks at Orlando for the Nationals.
Okay, oh my gosh.